Hey family, this is Minister Nico, and I am doing my very first movie commentary, review, insight, what have you. This is about the movie Us. So I saw the movie Us, and I was like flabbergasted. I was blown away. I don't know what's going on with my lighting. You're supposed to be on auto. Okay, so this movie was awesome. If you understand a lot of the esoteric meanings of the things that were portrayed in this movie, it gives you a much deeper revelation of what the movie's about. And so we're going to go into it, but this movie's so deep, I got a couple things to do. So first, I got to burn my incense, because this movie was deep. Burn my incense. This is spiritual up in here. So I have two different lightings, and I want you guys to watch. But, so as I'm turning on this light, I'm seeing mass orbs behind me, which I've caught them in other videos I've did, but they cranking. So you might see some flow through here, because my house laced with crystals, laced with Palo Santo wood, sage, incense. It's a spiritual place. This is my sanctuary. Okay, so we're gonna up. This that deep. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the singing bell. Get this energy right. So this movie is on multiple levels. You have the basic level where you see in the family and you see what happens. If you hadn't seen it, this gonna spoil it. But you also have like a deeper esoteric knowledge where they showing symbolism like Jeremiah 11:11, the number 11:11, which is like a gateway, a doorway, a spiritual awakening. Spirit realm is trying to contact you. You have all things in this movie, all sorts of things. Like there could be what they call doppelgangers, clones, shadow self. It's really a deep movie. So I'm going to stop here and I'll come back in a minute, but we're going to get into this movie. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Love you. This is Minister Nico. Be right back.
That's a classic right there.
What does I got 5 on it mean? It's about drugs.
It's not about drugs, it's a dope song. Don't do drugs.
Getting rhythm. There you go. There you go. Can't believe how big they've got.
You hear Gabe got a boat?
He's kidding, right?
He's not kidding.
Hey, I think it's vodka o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Where's Jason?
Jason?
There's a family in our driveway.
It's probably the neighbors. But y'all scared of a family? Can I help you?
Zora, put your shoes on.
If you want to get crazy, we can get crazy. What are you people?
It's us.
Hey family, so thus far we saw the beginning of the movie where the baby girl, Adelie, she went to the beach with her parents. But if you notice in that scene when the husband kind of felt that the son was grieving and wife was going through something, he offered to go to the beach. But in the upcoming pictures you see that Adelie, she's kind of disturbed, because she's never told anybody what happened, but she know that that's the place where the switch took place. And so she whole uncomfortable. So she decides to go ahead and go, and while she's sitting down contemplating, a big spider is sitting on the table, a fake one, and a real spider comes under off and underneath it. as she's contemplating on having to go back to the place where it all went down. And so that's symbolic of, spiders are symbolic of weaving a web or catching things in their web, or being creative about how they're going to do things. That's why their webs are so elaborate and beautiful. And so she was already getting what she says later in the movie, synchronicities, which are things that just kind of happen that just is not by coincidence. And so next, you see them like sitting at, before this, you see them sitting at the table, and Jason, which is the name of the son, he's kind of different. His behavior is different. They said that he just lost his grandmother not too long ago. So they go back to the place, and when she went as a little girl, it was like a shamanic house of mirrors where you find yourself. But 20 years later, or however many years later, when she comes back with her kids, it's now Merlin's house, but the sign is still there. Find yourself. So when Adelie went into the house of mirrors as a little girl, she actually found herself, if you can see in the photos. She was shocked. Her eyes got this big. And before she goes in the mirror, you notice that her dad kind of is tipsy and he lets her wander off. But he won her a Thriller shirt, which was number 11. Okay. Then when she walks to the shamanic house of mirrors, she sees a guy on the way that is holding a sign. He's younger. He has the Jeremiah 11 sign, a homeless man. So she goes in, meets herself, and it shakes from there. So they finally get her back, but it's not the real her. So on the car ride to the beach, before she goes as an adult, she's reminiscing of what happened. And she actually is in the car and she's smiling. So they suggested that she do dance and all of that to help her start talking, because she couldn't talk very well because she was one of the tethered, the doppelgangers, the clones or whatever that were kept in government ran facilities that was abandoned in the basement. And the hope was that the sub people, or the people in the underworld, so to speak, could then go and control the people on the surface level. But that couldn't happen. So I thought that was very interesting, because cloning has been going on for a very long time. I've even seen some rappers say they own clone number. They know their clone. They take a bone from your skull that has your DNA in it so they can replicate you. It's been going on. Okay. And rabbits was a part of that, as was the other, I think it was the lamb that they cloned. So they've been doing humans for grip. So this is an amazing movie. It already gets deep in the beginning. So they come back to the beach house where they're staying, and she's uncomfortable. She feel it. She says, I feel like she's getting closer. That's Red, her alter, her doppelganger, her clone, or what have you. And so you'll see in the movie so much symbology. I got 5 on it. You'll see when the white lady get killed, she says it's supposed to be like, I guess, a Siri or whatever. She says, call the police, and it starts playing F the police, right? Kind of ironic. So there's so many good movies, but one of the things I like about it is that I have faced this in my own life. That's why this is my first movie I'm doing this on. I had a Puritan life, but then once I went through some things, I had to actually come back through a dark night of the soul and deal with my shadow self, and she ain't no hoe. She off the chain. But I had to meet her and deal with her and not kill that part out, but to manage it. And that's what all religions are about, pretty much. Cosmology is you gotta take the lower self from the lower base root chakras. That's why the doppelganger or clone, her name was Red. That's a root chakra. Just survival, the fundamentals of life, like man's law, hierarchy of life. Food, clothes, shelter is where she was, because she was surviving in subterranean, but an underground facility where they had to eat raw rabbits to survive. And once the government abandoned them, they was down there fending for herself. But since the original surface Adelie went down there in the house, the doppelganger or clone choked her out, chained her up, and lived her life the whole time. So now she's taking her children back to the beach as the adult underground girl who's really red. But the one that she was the surface dweller, she was down there the whole time plotting. So you'll see in some of the clips and some of the pictures that each person, which is awesome, which is real life, each person had to deal with their alter self, they shadow self. And we'll get into it a little later what the names mean. The original names versus the doppelganger, clone, what have you. And so as the movie progresses, you actually see that they have to battle this shadow self. And Adelie says they know us, they like us, and they had to meet themselves, which all of us have to do in life. You have to meet your shadow self and deal with that to get to a better place of enlightenment. And I have been dealing with that shadow self. And yeah, I'm subduing it. So you see that red, which name usually means passion, fire, conflict, war. You see red come up with the scissors. The scissors can also be, here we go. Where's my scissors? Here we go. Perfect. You see, not these particularly, but the ones in the movie, they were almost like another 11, which represents duality. You also see the twins, the couple that they were with, they had twins, 11 or 1-1, duality. So scissors are two parts that come together that in some scissors, they're identical. So all of them were red like they had been in prison, which they kind of were. But she had been planning this since she was a little girl. And so you started to see all of the symbolism of battling with your shadow self. Each one of them had to meet their own self. So let's keep on looking at the some of the pictures. And then you'll know, this is another thing as far as a deeper level. If you notice, there was elements involved. So you had the dad who was on the boat, excited about being about the boat that he just bought. That's water. The son played with fire. He's a pyromaniac. The daughter ran, so that's wind. And the mother was the mother, was grounded and had the whole plan. She symbolized, I believe in this movie, Mother Earth. So you have the 4 elements. You have the shadow self. This is whole biblical. If you really look at the Bible, it's not only cosmologic, but it's also esoteric as far as how you ascertain to your higher self defeating the lower nature. And so you see all of them have to deal with themselves, and they all, which is interesting, they all dealt with their shadow self in the element that they were rocking in. The dad killed his doppelganger on the boat. The daughter killed her doppelganger with speed by hitting her with a car. The son controlled his doppelganger and burnt him up with fire. And the mother had to go down, 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 down deep like a Mother Earth would to deal with her doppelganger. So it's levels and levels and levels to this. So I'm going to keep going, and then we'll be back in a minute.
They look exactly like us. They think like us. They know where we are. We need to move and keep moving. They won't stop until they kill us. Or we kill them.
Hey, 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 it's getting gooder and gooder. Go see it. Excuse all the Illuminati symbolism, but you know, like the black and white checker my sonic floors and stuff in the underground. But so it's like some of the things that I caught and that I was interested in understanding. I love what colors mean, what numbers mean, what names mean. I'm named Nico after Pharaoh Nico the first and the second. So if you go look at it, like again, this is me. Most of the world call me Nico. But that Nikki, like Prince, I knew a girl, bruh, whole different. So when you go and you begin to look up the names and the numbers, the numerology in the movie, you kind of peep, if you watch the movie, when she was a little girl, the younger version of the gentleman that was carrying the Jeremiah 11:11 sign, she saw him before she went to find herself, literally. And later on in the movie, when they're riding to the beach, to the place where it all started, they see an ambulance, and it's an older gentleman that has died or got killed. But as they load him into the ambulance, he still has the 11:11 sign. So that was the same gentleman she saw as a little girl. And when Jason is at the beach, he runs up to go use the bathroom, and he sees a doppelganger of one of the tethered out there, the first one who's going to form the chain. And it's actually the guy who had the Jeremiah 11:11 sign. But his tether killed him. And so that's another, the numerology in the movie. A lot of it breaks down to the day it was released, to the number that the Skull and Crossbones use. Secret Society information. Tap into it. So, okay, now let's go to the names. So you got the father. I'll start with the father. His original name was Gabriel. And Gabriel was the archangel that announced the birth of Jesus, with no J's. And but the altar, or the doppelganger, his name was Abraham. And Abraham, as you know in scripture, he was the one that said God called him to sacrifice his son, but he sent a ram in the bush so he wouldn't have to kill his son. And so we go to the mom, Miss Adelaide. Now, Adelaide's name means, it's a capital of South Australia, and it means literally down under. And so we already talked about what red means. So if we go to the daughter, her name is Zora, which comes from Slavic. Let me get it. Which means dawn. Okay? But her altar means whole something different. It means ombre. Her altar means ombre, which means from the I'm sorry, let me find this. It's playing and I gotta pause it. See, it's about to play. So her name is ombre, which is also kind of in reference to the underworld. Then you have the son, whose name is Jason, which he wears a mask the whole movie. But his altar or doppelganger is named Pluto, which is the one that kind of rules the underworld, a planet that was discovered and not discovered. It's all very interesting. And like I said, they each had to battle their shadow self. And so then you got the whole symbolism of the rabbits in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie when Adelaide goes down to fight Red. And rabbits is a very Freemason symbol with Alice in Wonderland, pardon, with follow the right rabbit. This whole interesting. If you take a look back now, I watch stuff and be like, wow, for real? Amazing. So I love being able to have understanding so I can pick out these details when I watch movies. And so lastly, I put in the clips the story of what I believe they got the real us from. And this is a story of a family, a mother, husband, and 2 children. And she was in witchcraft. And I put a picture at the end. She was in witchcraft. And so they went to the beach, saw the 4 people, just like in the movie. Saw them again when they got home. And then they would call the police and they wouldn't be there. And then they called police again and they really wouldn't be there. They couldn't find them. And then the neighbor, as the father went out in real life to talk to this family of 4, she came out later and said, "Who were you talking to? I didn't see anybody." And so they wind up killing the neighbors, like in the movie of the chick that said, F the police, X lit Siri or whoever she called it. Probably for copyright, she can't call it Siri, but they said call the police. They never saw anybody, the police or the neighbors, but the neighbors wind up getting killed. And when it all came out, they were pretty much telling their stories from the insane asylum, because the police asked investigators, what happened, who killed your neighbor? She said, us. But they're all in insane asylum, so whatever door they open up, doorway, portal, gateway, 1111 that they opened up, it sent spirits through, and it shook. So go on YouTube and look at that story about this family that really experienced some of this, and they can't explain it, so they're all in a crazy house. But yet their neighbors was dead. They kept seeing the people, and so was it their shadow self that took over? Did the alter take over, like a multiple personality disorder, where they couldn't even remember what happened? Or did they see really something supernatural? We don't know. But I'll say this, family, I love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on my first commentary, my first little review or whatever. And go see the movie if you have not. And then take account of those things that jump out at your soul, because Spirit might be speaking something. Because it's a deep movie. And so I'm going to watch it again. Well, with this being said, it's time for me to go. Thank you guys. I hope this was enjoyable. I am in the process now of uploading like 20 videos, including this one, up to my YouTube channel. For those that don't know me, I had Simply Virtuous YouTube channel that I started in 2012, and I had quite a bit of stuff on there. And me trying to combine accounts, I lost it all. So all that work for about 5 years. So I'm now getting the strength and the endurance to rebuild everything. But I hope you enjoyed this. As it comes on YouTube, give me a day or so to upload all those videos, because I got to do the tags and all of that. But it's going to be some good information there for you. So I hope, I'm a pause right here because I feel like it's supposed to do. So as you were watching me, I hope you were watching these orbs all in back of me. This is spooky spiritual. I won't say spooky. Other people think it's spooky. This is a spiritual place where they know they can come, they can manifest. Because I keep it I try my best to keep it in a high vibration. So if you see an orb behind me every now and then, that's how my house rock. This is Minister Nico. It's been a blessing, a pleasure. Remember, don't settle for less. Tap into your 100% divine potential. This is Minister Nico. I'm out. I'm looking forward to see you soon. Remember, once you go to my YouTube channel, as I'm working on it, and the website, remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. This is Minister Nico. I'm out. Be blessed.